Good morning students. So in this session we can start the session with the topic vouching. It comes under the subject named called auditing. Okay. So initially we should know about what is vouching, the meaning, basic meaning about vouching. So this is one of the technical term that refers to the inspection of documentary evidence. So when an auditor go to a firm for examining some documents, so he will verify the documents, right? So this is, while verifying the documents, the vouching is one of the aspect that he used to examine the evidences. Okay. So how he will inspect the evidences? Okay. So he will inspect the evidences to see whether it supports the entries, whatever the company is recording in its accounting transactions or accounting records, that should support with some evidences. Okay. So the vouching of transaction will confirm the validity, accuracy and completeness of all the accounting transaction, whatever the company has been recorded in its books of accounts. So we have said that verifying the entries. Okay. How the auditor will verify the entries? He may verify the entries using the help of vouchers, invoices, receipts, cash memos, counterfoils, written requisition slips, etc. Okay. So here is an example noted. For example, so the sale of departmental stores have been recorded as rupees 1 lakh for June 2023. Okay. So this is one of the transaction. Likewise, the company can have so many transactions. Okay, all those transactions has to be supported with some evidences. So when those evidences is being verified while the auditor is being examining, that is what called as vouching. Okay. So these are some of the examples what has been specified earlier. So next comes the objectives of vouching. So what will be the main objective for vouching? Why it is necessary? Okay, the auditor, while he is examining, so while he is examining, he will vouching the entries, right, with the transaction what has been already recorded. So the main objective is to detect the frauds or to detect the errors. Next thing is to check the accuracy of accounts, to check the proper evidences. For the transaction, whatever is being entered, it should accompany with some proper evidences. A right evidence has to be attached. So in that evidence, the correct amount to be entered. Okay. The auditor can also analyze the capital and revenue analysis, and also in the case of purchase of any assets in the machineries, like machineries and furniture in the businesses, those items can also be verified by vouching the books of accounts. Okay. So next comes the importance of vouching. So vouching is a part in the auditor's examination. Okay, it is a part. So vouching is an important part of auditor's duty. It is his duty. Whose duty? It is the auditor's duty to examining the books of accounts with the help of vouching. Okay, he cannot escape from his duty. Okay, already the company may have maintained some internal control system. Even if they are maintaining, auditor has to do his duty. Whether it can be a small size firm or large size firm, he has to do his duty. Okay. So vouching has to perform with reasonable care in regard of vouching transactions. How reasonable care can be maintained? By verifying each and every transaction what has been entered in the accounting records. He may have negligence if he had been vouching carelessly. What is the auditor's duty? He has to audit the books of accounts with careful diligence. Okay, but he missed, so he is liable for that. So here is a case summary between Armitage versus Beaver and Knott in the year 1932. Here a fraud has been committed by the client's clerk. Okay, it was not being detected by the auditor because he is carelessly verifying the books of accounts. So in that case, that mistake or fraud is not being detected by the auditor. So here in this case, the auditor is liable for whatever damages that the client is undergoing. So the importance continues. So vouching plays an important role in auditing, as we discussed earlier. Okay. So when can we say that the audit meets its success? Okay, it will only depend on the efficiency of vouching. How well the auditor has verified the transactions. Okay, so the efficiency speaks about the success of audit examination. The assessment audit work is done by the auditor on the basis of vouching. Okay, for example, whatever the auditor is examining, he has to give some conclusion on it. He might be having some judgment based on the work that has been done by the client. Okay, so that is what is being specified here. Audit work is being judged based on the vouching. So based on the vouching, the audit work is being judged and it is being examined. Frauds can be detected only by way of vouching, that is being done through intelligent manner. We can see the term in detail in the next coming point. Payment of bills may be misappropriate. This type of fraud can be detected through intelligent vouching. So in this case, we should note what is intelligent vouching. So most of the companies will be following some internal control system, internal checks and all. Okay. So here in this case, while in the process of internal control system, the auditor might choose to do some test checking. So if a company is having hundreds and hundreds number of transactions, the auditor will not go through all the hundreds of transactions. What he will do in the sense, he will take some random vouchers and random transactions and he will check with the supporting documents. So that is what called as intelligent vouching. So the frauds and misappropriates of bills and payment bills can be verified by way of intelligent vouching. Okay. So vouching is done intelligently and faithfully. So once it is being done intelligently, the auditor can come to a conclusion. He will provide some reliability in the P&L and balance sheet, that is profit and loss account and the balance sheet of the firm. Okay. So as a summary, we can say that vouching is the backbone of audit. So we can do a comprehensive check on it. We can locate fake invoices, highlight some personal transactions, correct recordings in books. Frauds can also be detected by intelligent vouching. Accuracy and authenticity of transaction. So this can be identified only with the help of vouching. Okay. If there is any missing transaction, that can also be analyzed when vouching the transactions. So next case is, we are discussing about vouching, right? So is it necessary to vouch all the transactions? Let's see. So in some cases, it is not necessary to vouch every transactions. For example, in big organizations, they will be following some effective internal control system. So when effective internal control system is being followed, each and every staff will be supervised by the senior staff. Okay, so in this case, what they will do, they will test and check all the transactions individually. Okay, so based on the supervision, they can control the internal system. So in these cases, it is not necessary to vouch every transaction by the auditor. The internal staff itself will check the group transactions and departmental transactions. So in this case, the auditor should not struggle by verifying all the transactions. So in some other cases, it is not necessary to view the selected transaction. So in this case, what does it mean? The auditor has to verify all the transactions that is being made by the company. So there are three such kind of cases, we can say. First one is weak and internal control system. If the firm is following weak and internal control system, so it is necessary for the auditor to follow the vouching system for every transaction. Second part is division of duties. If the client or the auditor has not divided the appropriate duties to based on the skills and competence of the employees, it will not be necessary to select the transactions. So in this case, he has to verify all the transactions. And the last case is specialized transaction. So in this case, only limited number of transactions will be verified. That too, while verifying those limited number of transactions, they might see some failures. So once they see some failures in checking that limited number of transaction, what the auditor has to do? He has to verify each and every transaction. Okay. So by this I am concluding. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, students. Thank you, students.